yet another poem of our class 12th English core CBSE syllabus. That is the fourth poem, which is A Roadside Stand, written by Robert Frost. Let us first understand who Robert Frost was. Now, Robert Frost was an American poet, and his poems are very deep and philosophical poems. He writes about characters, people, and landscape. He is always concerned with human tragedies, the pathos, the plight of the common people, and he tries to portray them through his poetic pens. Okay, now in this poem, A Roadside Stand, he presents the life of poor deprived people with pitiless clarity and with deepest sympathy and humanity. Now, this is very important for us to understand the economic divide that we have in our society. On one hand, we have the haves, on the other hand, we have the have nots. Now, rich versus poor, haves versus have nots, privileged versus unprivileged. Now, the people belonging to the privileged class, privileged economic class, they are least mostly they are least bothered about the plight and the pathos of the poor people. They are ignorant, they are indifferent towards the hardships and the struggles that these people have to undergo. They are nonchalant in their attitude. They In this poem, it is depicted with clarity that these rich people are very much nonchalant about their struggles, and they fail to contribute even in the least way possible for them to uplift the economic and financial condition of these poor people. Now, this poor section of society has been represented by the person, the seller who sets his stand at the roadside. Now, this is a very familiar picture, very familiar image. Whenever you go to a hill station, you might come across certain roadside stand. In our language, in the colloquial language, like thela like stand, the house is there and they have just put out a small store outside the house, so that the people, the public, the tourists mainly, they would stop their car and buy the things from that stand, that shed, right? This poem shows that how these people with their stores are pleading to the customers to come and stand by the side of their store and buy some things, not as a form of charity though, but these poor people, they want to partake, they want to participate in the economic transaction, monetary transaction, right? But Robert Frost very blatantly shows that the rich people, with their selfish cars, with their polished and refined lifestyle represented by the shiny cars, they don't even bother to stand and ask the prices of the goods that these people, the poor people, are selling. And Robert Frost is very angry at this. The people, the rich people, would stop, but not for buying the things, but to criticize how the roadside stand, that store, is is incongruous to the natural beauty of the landscape, how the store is ugly in looking and it is destroying the beauty of the location. They stop their cars to criticize. They would stop their cars to ask the directions, to reverse, but never to buy the goods. And Robert Frost is very angry at this, and Robert Frost identifies himself with the deprived section of people. Okay, let us start. Let us first read the text, then we will go text we will do the text line wise analysis. Now, before that, I want to say that this poem is a very long poem indeed, and we shall divide the session into two parts. There will be if for the textual analysis, there will be two parts of the video. Okay, let us begin. The little old house was out with a little new shade. In front, at the edge of the road where the traffic sped, a roadside stand that too pathetically pled, It would not be fair to say for a dole of bread, but for some of the money, the cash, whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. The polished traffic passed with a mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts, and having the landscape marked with the artless paint of signs that with n turned wrong and s turned wrong offered for sale wild berries in wooden quarts, or crook necked golden squash with silver warts, or beauty rest in a beautiful mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money this crossly and go along? The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint, so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. Here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will make our being expand and give us the life of the moving pictures promise that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. It is in the news that all this pitiful kin are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in to live in villages next to the theatre and the store, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore. While greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey swarm over their lives enforcing benefits that are calculated to suit them out of their wits. And by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day, destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. Sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain, the sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost an open prayer, for the squeal of brakes, the sound of a stopping car, of all the thousand selfish cars that pass, just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are. And one did stop, but only to plough up grass in using the yard to back and turn around, and another to ask the way to where it was bound, and another to ask could they sell it a gallon of gas? They couldn't. This crossly, they had none, didn't it see? No, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. Also, the voice of the country seems to complain. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. And next day, as I come back into the scene, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. So, what does the poet talk about in these lines? Let us start. The little old house was out with a little new shed. So there is a house, and they have projected another exterior part, and that is their roadside stand or the store. Okay, that is their roadside stand or the store. In front at the edge of the road where the traffic sped. Now traffic sped means the traffic speeds up. Now, right from the word sped is, you can say this is the poetic license that the poet has taken, okay, just in order to show the word speed and rhyme with the last word of the first line. He has used sped as the past form. Okay, now traffic sped, this itself symbolizes what, that the traffic, they are the people who are riding their cars, they are not bothered about stopping their cars, they are just speeding away. So, what is this? This is the roadside stand, that too pathetically played. This is a personification. Why? The roadside stand is not pleading, but the people who are standing in the roadside stand is pleading, right? Are pleading. So, a roadside stand that too pathetically played. Played is also this. This means to plead. Okay. So the people with their store, with the roadside stand, they are pathetically pleading to the customers, to the people, to stop their car, to uh, engage into a monetary transaction. Okay, this line is very important. He says it would not be fair to say for a dole of bread. That means, let me clarify, the poet is saying, let me clarify that these poor people want the tourists or the rich people to stop their cars or pleading to them not for charity or donation, okay, but for some of the money, the cash whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. This is a metaphor, very important line for your boards. Now, the poet is saying that these people want to feel some money, want to have some money, the cash, okay, the inflow of cash has to be there, and these people want the cash because they have seen that cash is that is money, okay, economy is the only thing that supports the nourishment and prosperity of cities. Okay, so if a city has inflow of cash, has quite good amount of monetary transaction among its various aspects, then the city is bound to develop, flourish, nourish. Okay, and that is the same cash which will prevent the cities to from dying down, from withering faint. Sinking and withering faint means dying down. Okay, the cities will never die down because the flow of cash is continuous there, and hence the cities can flourish and prosper. So the people, the roadside stand people, they have known this fact, right? That cash is required for the prosperity and nourishment and development. And that is why these unprivileged people, they want to have that amount of money. That means that flow of cash from the customers who are just passing their roadside stand without stopping their cars. All right. Coming to the next few lines, the polished traffic passed with a mind ahead. So they are not stopping. Polished traffic, this is transferred epithet. Okay, here polished are the people, but here it has been used with traffic as well, and this is also personification. Now, polished traffic passed with mind ahead. So they are least bothered about stopping their cars so that they could at least into contribute into the help provided to these people who want some cash in hand so that they can also flourish just like the cities of these polished traffic people. All right, but the poet says, or if ever aside a moment, that means if ever these people, the people who are riding in their polished car, riding their polished cars, if for a minute they stop their cars, they put their cars aside for a moment, they park it, then out of sorts they get annoyed. Okay, the rich people get annoyed. Why? At having the landscape marred with artless paint. Marred means destroyed. Okay, so these rich people, they stop their cars for a brief moment and they get annoyed at how the artless paint, the ugly roadside stand, is destroying the scenic beauty of the landscape. How the signs that are turned wrong. Why turned wrong? N means north or S is south. Everything is turned wrong because these people, they don't have the money to renovate their roadside stands, to modify, to paint, to ornament, to adorn, to make it appealing to the customers. They do not have the necessary required money to do the necessary modifications, makeovers of their stands, right? So that is why naturally they are ugly, but the rich people, sorry, but the rich people are annoyed at this fact. They are completely indifferent to the reason why these people could not make their stance appealing, aesthetically beautiful. Okay. Offered for sale wild berries in wooden quarts. Quarts means the wooden boxes. I think you have seen where the fruits and vegetables are sold, are kept to sell. Okay, and this is a very common picture in the hill stations. Especially when the people are have set their roadside stand with the fruits and vegetables. Now there are wild berries. Okay, wild berries, these are not hybrid, not adulterated. Okay, crook necked golden squash with silver warts. Warts are small, small projections, exterior projections outside the skin, right? So that does not look good. Golden squash, and this squash also, this vegetable also does not have a very appealing texture. Okay, it is crooked, and it has got all sorts of spots on the outside, which indicates what, that they offer organic vegetables and fruits, and that is why they are not good looking in the common terms. Okay, or beauty rest in a beautiful mountain scene. So among this mountain scene, the beauty is resting, and these people are selling in their roadside stand the vegetables and fruits, but the rich people are completely indifferent and ignorant of their pathos, of their struggle. Instead, they are mindlessly, they are insensitive enough to get annoyed at how the ugly landscape, ugly roadside stand is incongruous to the beautiful mountain scene. I hope this part is clear. Coming to the next part. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money this crossly and go along? So the poet is addressing to the addressing to the people, rich people. Okay, you have the money, that is, you are rich, you are privileged, you have the money, but if you want to be mean, that means you have a very miserly attitude. You do not want to spend your money. Okay, and the poet has understood that, and hence the poet gets very angry at it. This crossly means the poet is saying that I want to address to those people with this kind of anger in my tone, that if you have the money, but if you want to be mean, why do you keep your money? Why keep your money and go along? Just go away from here. Okay, and why is this phrase given in brackets, in parentheses? Because this crossly means the poet is saying that I have the anger in my tone as well while I speak to them. Very important is the next line. The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint. Now, the poet is saying that according to the privileged, polished people, they are saying that the roadside stand is destroying the beauty, the scenery, right? So, the roadside stand is injuring the scenery, hurt to the scenery. But and they are complaining against that, right? But the poet is saying that that is not my complaint so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid, that my complaint is not how they are destroying the landscape, but my complaint is how their words, their unsaid promises, their unsaid sorrows are being ignored. Okay, they are not getting what they want. Trusting sorrow of what is unsaid, they had a trust in themselves, the poor people had a trust in themselves that the people would come, and tourists or the rich people would come, stop their cars and buy things from us. They had a very uh, inner trust within them, right? And these people, they have stopped their cars, but not to buy the things, but to criticize their existence in that beautiful scenery. So it is a very sorrowful state that they had to encounter. what is unsaid, that is the desire that these people would have could have bought things from our end. Okay. Here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand. You can see the poet is identifying himself with the roadside, with the people who are there with the roadside stand. Okay. Here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand. So the poet is saying that we, that is the people with the roadside stand, they want to feel some cash in hand so that they can expand their existence, they can develop their existence, they can prosper in what they are doing. Okay, some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will make our being expand. If it will not make our being expand, that means what? They want to feel some city money, some cash in hand, the same kind of city money which helps a city to prosper and prevents it from dying down, right? And this is very important. The poet says that we want to see that money that would give us the life of the moving pictures promise. So the glamorous privileged life that the films promise, that the films show. Now it is very relatable whenever you see that poor children, very poor, underprivileged and deprived children, when they see in the movies big shopping malls or big shelters, very good food, good clothing, they get very mesmerized with that kind of lifestyle, and they, you can see it in their eyes also, that I wish I could also have that kind of life someday. So what, from where do they get this picture? This picture they get from the movies, right? So the movies, the films promise that you can also have those things if you have money with you, right? But this is the criticism, this is the satirical comment that the poet is giving. This good lifestyle, okay, good lifestyle is not given to them by the party in power. The political parties never do sufficient actions to make their lives, to make the poor people's lives good and prosperous, just like how the films promise. Okay, read this line once again. And give us the life of the moving pictures promise that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. This is a very beautiful, you can find a very beautiful association with the second chapter, prose of your flamingo, that is Lost Spring. There is a line where the author uh, means very casually tells Sahib that if I build a school, will you come? And Sahib says that yes, he would definitely come. And a few days later, Sahib is very jovial, jubilant, and he asks the author, is your school ready? Little did he know that making a school is a very huge thing, and little did he know that the author had just commented it, had a very casual remark. Okay, and then there is a very beautiful line in that chapter that the poet says that promises like mine abound in every corner of their bleak world. So promises like mine, promises like the authors, that is the promise of building the school, abound in every corner of their bleak world. That means politicians, bureaucrats, all these people, they always promise them to help them develop with school, road, employment, hospitals, etc. But these are the false promises that they make. False promises like mine abound in their bleak worlds. Similar reference you can find here, that the promise of getting a good life, glamorous, good, respectable life is there, is never meant to be kept by the political party who is in power. All right, we shall stop for this part of the video. here. Please read the first stanza properly. This is a very important poem for your boards. Although it's looks apparently it is very lengthy and it feels it is tough, but the questions are very simple, and there are just two or three or maximum four questions around which your every other question can be centered. Okay. Thank you, students. We will continue with the next part in our next video.